Today on Dr. Phil.
A dog-sitting trip gone horrifically wrong.
I was immediately brought down to the ground. I didn't think I had a chance to survive.
He ripped off my scalp.
He didn't maul her. There was no blood.
You say she's just exaggerating this and there was no blood?
No, I gave her a paper towel.
That's skull. That's bone. You don't fix that with a paper towel. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today is going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
Get ready to take care of you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You know, a dog can be your best friend, a loyal companion, comforting, loving, and at times a protector. But who's to blame when a protective dog crosses the line and becomes aggressive, becomes dangerous, goes on the attack? Is it the owner's fault or is the canine to blame? Dog attacks have been increasing over the past 10 years, and sadly, many of those incidences have turned into catastrophic news headlines. Let's take a look.
We want to go now to a developing story. 2 separate dog attacks in our area. One that has left a man in critical condition.
And in the other, a 12-year-old was attacked after getting off a school bus.
A man now in critical condition after he was mauled by 2 pit bulls. Home surveillance shows 2 pit bulls approach the man as he tries to shoo them away, and they begin to attack. An attack so vicious, we won't show it.
It's a neighborhood in fear. Cops say at least 6 times a man's dogs have gotten out and attacked, sending some victims to the hospital.
The disturbing video shows a terrified man swinging a large pipe, trying to fend off a pack of dogs. So far, 6 neighbors have been attacked, 4 of them hospitalized.
Very terrifying. I turned and I saw them coming, and they just all jumped on me.
A 4-year-old boy was mauled to death by multiple dogs while walking down a street with his mom in Detroit, Michigan.
89-year-old woman attacked by 2 dogs last week has died of her injuries.
4 days ago, this 61-year-old mail carrier, who'd only been on the job for a year, was mauled to death by a pack of dogs.
A 4-year-old boy is in the ICU after being attacked by a dog.
His dad says the 4-year-old may need speech therapy because of the severe injury he sustained just below his ear, right along the jawline.
3-year-old Ronan is slowly recovering after she was viciously attacked by a dog inside an Old Town Spring restaurant Saturday afternoon.
It was instantaneous. There was a massive pit bull there in a service vest, and he just lashed out at her. And I don't want anybody else's child, anybody else's baby, husband, wife, whoever, to go through this, what we're going through right now.
Well, as you can see, dog attacks are real. And Teri says that nearly a year and a half ago, she went over to her friend Valina's house and out of the blue was attacked by her dog, Havoc. Now, I do want to warn you, some of these images you're going to see today are graphic.
My name is Teri Angel, and I was attacked by a pit bull in 2021. My life has been a complete nightmare, to say the least, since that day. On September 17th, I was visiting a friend in her home. While I was there, her pit bull, Havoc, attacked me for no reason and without warning. He ripped off my scalp, and when I fell to the floor, the attack continued. I had no idea that the trauma would continue for over a year in court. The city where the attack occurred filed a petition to have Havoc euthanized due to the dangerous nature. Havoc was finally put down in January. The case has been a hot topic on social media, dragging my name through the mud, portraying me as the villain and Havoc as the victim, and I'm here to set the record straight.
Well, Teri, this was really traumatic for you at the time. You knew this dog.
Yes.
And you didn't have any precursors to this. You didn't see this coming at all.
No, not at all.
All right, and you got first bitten on top of the head.
Yes. Well, when I first walked in the front door, he grazed my arm, but he was on the couch, so it was kind of, I wasn't sure if it was his, if I just I wasn't sure what happened, really. So,
But when he really attacked you, it was after that, right?
yeah.
And how did he get to the top of your head?
Well, I was leaned up against the hospital bed, and he had followed me when I got there, you know, with his toy, but I had a bad feeling. So he jumped on the bed, and then he jumped down, and then he jumped back up, and then he was right up there. Very close.
And your friend had been injured and had a hospital bed there temporarily to be in a hospital bed,
Yes.
right? And you were sitting on the bed?
I was leaned up against, with my backside to the.
Yeah, leaned up against it?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what triggered the dog? You have no idea?
No, and he can't tell us.
And how did your friend initially react to your injuries?
Well, we were both, she seemed upset, you know, concerned, but then after, you know, it was really in cover-up mode and.
She tried to play it down.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. But at the time, both of you were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because they were.
Horrific.
Yeah, and you went to the hospital.
Yeah.
And how much of your scalp was ripped off?
5 by 6 area was ripped off, and then where it ripped, so it would have been like a 5 by 10.
Yeah, and we have this blurred, so y'all don't throw up. And this was down to the skull, right?
Yes, they couldn't reattach it.
There was no way to reattach it. So how did they treat it?
Well, when they came in, they had offered me 2 options. The surgeon, you know, that they could fly me to Erlanger, where they could look at under a microscope and find it'd be like 1% chance or less if they found one live blood vessel to reattach it. So the second option was to staple it up, send me home, and let it granulate some tissue so they could do a skin graft. And that's what they did 2 weeks later.
So they had to do a skin graft. And where did they harvest the skin from?
My
The hip?
thigh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's not fun.
No, it's
Yeah.
not at all.
And you also got ultimately bitten on the arm
Yeah.
with puncture wounds
Yeah,
on the arm. And how deep were those?
it went all the way through.
Yeah, we could see that. How did the dog ultimately get under control?
Well, he didn't. Actually, when I was laying on the floor, I think she said run, so she may have just grabbed him for a second. And I jumped up and I ran into it was like 2 steps, but a door, and I grabbed the door, and it wasn't unhinged. So I just held it in front of me, and I put my knee up against it and held my head, and I just kept saying, I'm gonna pass out, I'm gonna pass out. And I thought, I've always heard you just punch them in the face or something, or poke them in the eye. So I thought, I'm either gonna just put my arm down and punch him in the face, or I'm just gonna lay down with this door on top of me and let him get my arms.
Okay.
And then she grabbed a hold of him, and then that's when,
Did she get him into another room?
yes, and he was still trying to come through that door to get me.
So he was banging
Yes.
against the door?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we spoke to Valina, and she claims that you trespassed, and that's why the dog attacked you. But this was your friend,
Yes, and we talked for 5 minutes before I got there.
and
I
she
was
knew you were coming.
Yes. I don't go in
And
people's
you
houses.
were welcomed to the
Yes.
home. You were not an intruder.
No.
Okay. So how long did this take you to get physically repaired and back to normal? As normal as you can be. I'm using that term advisedly from a physical standpoint.
Physically, I'm still, you know, I still have a lot of, I don't know if it's phantom pain, you know, a lot of pain, but mentally, emotionally.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, that's physical. And then there's the mental, emotional. And when you've been under an attack like that, you consider this a savage attack? And are you still impacted by it,
Oh, God.
mentally and emotionally?
Absolutely.
How are you around dogs?
Well, my son is a canine officer, you know, so I'm around dogs, you know, and it's just, I don't think I'll ever be okay. I just don't look at them.
Okay, your son's a canine officer? Okay. Well, what's he tell you about it?
Well, he'll say, Mother,
Yeah.
you know, he's not even close to you.
Okay. Now, you say that you consider yourself to have PTSD with regard to dogs,
Yes.
particularly if they're barking or being aggressive or tugging or whatever. Okay, well, Valina claims none of this would have happened if Teri hadn't come over unannounced and provoked the dog. So we're going to talk to her when we come back. You say that she's exaggerating this, and you say there was no blood? Or...
No, I gave her a paper towel. If she was worried about passing out or all that, I would be calling the medics.
And later, Jacqueline was hired to dog sit. She says when she arrived at the home, 2 of the dogs dragged her inside and nearly killed her. How many times were you bitten?
I had over 800 bites on my body.
Teri says 2 years ago, she was attacked by her friend Valina's dog, Havoc. She says that he grabbed her hair with his teeth and completely detached a portion of her scalp off of her head, like a 5x6, about like that, is there?
Yeah.
Now, Havoc's owner, Valina, claims Teri exaggerated her story and says Havoc should never have been euthanized, which was the outcome.
When you go to someone's home, you knock on their door. We weren't expecting any company. She basically broke in my house. I wouldn't say that just because you were a friend, that you don't have to knock on the front door. That day was a tragic incident. Havoc was provoked. I guess when you put your elbow on a dog's tail, it kind of hurts. Her actions caused what happened. And he didn't maul her. He didn't maul her. There was no blood. He was scared. It's really sad world when the only thing you have to think about is to put an innocent dog to death.
Well, Valina, thanks for coming.
Yes, sir.
You know, there have been, I don't know if it's because media is a 30-minute cycle 24/7 or, you know, with the internet or whatever, but there have been lots of news about dog attacks.
Yes, sir.
That we see. I don't know if they're happening more or we're just covering them more, but everybody sees them. And this was one that was not fatal. There are many that are fatal, but you say that she's just exaggerating this and that your dog was euthanized and should not have been.
Yes, sir.
And you say there was no blood or?
No. I gave her a paper towel. So if there was a lot, I would give more.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I wasn't allowed to even call 911 or the medics. The medics, I could throw a softball to the medics from my house.
Mm-hmm.
And she was waiting on somebody that didn't have a car to come get her from my house. So if she was worried about passing out or all that, I would be calling the medics.
Yeah. Were you, you said she was a trespass, she trespassed.
Yes, sir, she did.
Were y'all not friends?
We were, but,
Was she welcome in your home?
She always had been.
Were you talking before she came over? On the phone?
Not that day, but we had talked.
Were you talking that day?
Yes, I have phone records.
You have phone records to show you were
Yes.
talking for 5 minutes before you came over?
She might not talk to my voicemail that long, but I didn't talk to her.
So you
I just got up.
You didn't know she was coming over?
No, sir. And she came through that. I mean, just came through.
Okay.
I mean, I thought that was my kid or something, because that's the only person that would not knock on my door.
So you said it was like she broke in?
Well, the insurance company didn't pay because of that.
Insurance company didn't pay for what?
I filed it on my homeowner's rental insurance, and they didn't pay because she didn't knock on the door. She was like a burglar, trespasser, so they didn't pay.
Okay.
I got paid.
Pardon me?
I got paid.
By who?
The insurance company.
Okay, well, now, wait a minute.
They told me they didn't, so.
I got it.
You know, there aren't versions of the truth.
I don't know nothing about that.
She either was invited to the home or she wasn't.
She wasn't.
They either paid or they didn't. And this was either a serious attack or it wasn't. I mean,
Exactly.
Who's?
I got the insurance.
I mean, I've already lost what I fought for so hard.
Right.
So why would I be here to lie? I mean, I would not come on national TV to look like an idiot. My dog's dead. So
Look, I'm a dog lover. Let me tell you, I am. I'm a dog lover. I've had dogs all of my life.
Yes, sir.
From a child on up, I always rescue them.
Yes.
Instead of buy them. And we have 2 rescues right now. I got them. These are the.
Oh.
Here they are when I got them as pups.
Oh.
Then we went away for the weekend and
Look how cute.
came back and they were 125 pounds. And,
they're beautiful.
115 pounds, and they're just mutts, but they're mostly Great Pyrenees, which are kind of herding dogs. And I contribute a lot of money to shelters and that sort of thing. So I love dogs, and the one we had before, we ultimately had to euthanize because she was 13 and kidneys were failing, and I'm a little embarrassed to say we had her on dialysis for a year and a half. we
I had
loved
one
her.
that had cancer,
We
and
loved her so much. But you say you just gave her a paper towel.
yes, sir.
I can't show these pictures to the audience just out of, but
I've seen all this, but
that doesn't. If you hand me a paper towel for that, I'm
yeah,
gonna.
well, I don't know what all that is. They must have been cleaning that or something because I picked it up off the floor.
Well, you say you don't know what that is. I know what that is. That's a picture
Yeah.
taken at the hospital.
Yeah, it was about this big when the piece that I picked up. And I said, do I put this on ice? And she said, I don't know. I said, well, you're the nurse lady. I mean, so I did put it on ice and put aluminum foil around it. And I never knew about that. I mean, that don't even look like a dog bite to me, but I don't know.
Well, is there some conspiracy that that's not her arm and those
I
aren't puncture
I
wounds?
never saw that.
Well, you seen it now.
Yeah.
What do you think now?
I don't know anything about that.
That's skull. That's bone.
Yeah.
You don't fix that with a paper towel. It's just
Well, I
skin
mean, that's
graft.
just what I gave.
I can't show these pictures to the audience. This
I mean,
matches.
when did that happen?
I'm assuming it happened in the same time that
No, because
that's skull. That's bone
yeah,
under there.
He pulled it.
Yeah.
He pulled it. He did. But when I turned around, when I said his name, Havoc, because first I said Teri, like in a crazy way, and I knew. When I looked back, I saw in his eyes. I knew he was scared or thought I was hurt. I mean, this
Yeah.
dog and I have been through a lot.
Oh, I'm sure. When I had to, when Robin and I had to lose our other dog before this one, it was terrible, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that. But you shouldn't have a skin graft. You don't fix that with a paper towel. It's just
Well,
a
I
skin
mean,
graft.
that's just what I gave.
This is a picture of the skin graft that they had to harvest from her leg.
I don't know what to say. I mean, I hate that it happened, but you can only do so much to a dog. Like, first, you come through our house, and we don't even know you're there or coming. And then, she reached behind me and put her elbow on his tail. I mean, he'd put up with all that. And she'd been in my house 15 minutes before anything ever happened. And if you're scared of him, why did you sit right beside him?
Well, I don't think you were scared of him, were you?
Mm-mm.
And you say that there wasn't any blood.
There was
well, here's an excerpt of a statement given by a friend that helped clean up your house. Valina called me and said something really bad has happened. The house looks so messed up. like a struggle had happened. The floor had a good bit of blood in front of Valina's bed and on the couch, a hand towel covered in blood. There was blood and streaks of blood in different spots on the door. It looked like it would be in a movie, like someone running from their killer and getting caught and trying to grasp the door.
I don't know who wrote that, but I guess someone that she paid, like she paid a lot of people to say things.
Well, here's an excerpt from a statement from Teri's friend Tammy. This is Teri's friend. On September 17th, got a call from Teri saying, come and get her from our friend, Valina's house, so you know her too.
Yeah.
I saw Teri sitting with her scalp and hair in her hand, and there was blood everywhere. She was in shock. Her lips were blue and her face was white as a ghost. Valina never asked how Teri was, and she kept saying to tell them it was not her dog.
I probably did say that. I probably did say that.
Yeah. Well, and I can understand you wanting to protect your dog.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
This is how I feel. I feel like if I come to your house and I don't knock on your door and I'm intruding in your home and I hurt your dog, if your dog bit me, I'm the intruder. I'm in the wrong because the home's as far as you can go. You can't go any further. I hate that it happened.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
It doesn't seem like you do.
I really do. I really do.
It's an additional insult to have it trivialized and denied, as opposed to saying, I'm sorry.
And that's what I'm saying.
It doesn't sound like. I'm trained in psychology, but and including some animal psychology. But when we get a dog, which we only do when we lose a dog, is I get a professional trainer to come, and they sometimes take the dog and keep the dog for a period of time. Then they come back and work with us at home. And even though I understand the psychological principles, I bring in a top level expert to train our dogs, and then they work with us at the house. And because I think a dog's behavior is owned by the owner.
Yeah,
I think it's very important that the owner take responsibility for their dog.
Oh, I do. And I wish they would have charged me instead of him.
And in fact, joining us is celebrity pet trainer and behaviorist Josh Leverett. And he's the star of the Netflix show Canine Intervention and founder of Cali Canine. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome, Dr. Phil.
Am I looking at this right or am I looking at it wrong?
I mean, you're looking at it right. Sounds like there's a little bit of denial going on. We definitely have to be responsible for our animals. Yes. And if anybody who's at a house for 15 minutes is not a stranger. Right. So, I definitely think that there was some warning signs. Like she said, she got kind of pushed at with her arm. That was an initial little warning shot. And then, to get in, and there's just no way that kind of damage can be done. And it's just a paper towel type of situation, like you said.
It was behind me. So, I had to turn. It is my fault, but I don't know how I could have stopped. I could have changed things. I mean, it had never happened before. That was the first time ever. And I was tripped out too. But it is my fault because I guess I should have I don't know how I could have changed that situation.
It's not your fault because it wasn't your intent, but it is your responsibility because the dog is your responsibility, just like our dogs are our responsibility. And that's why we spend time getting them trained and then working with the trainers. And, they're still not perfect, but I think that it's traumatic to you to have that happen. It's not like you sick the dog on her. That's not what we're saying.
No.
It's traumatic to you for it to happen, but it's kind of an additional insult to have it trivialized and denied, as opposed to saying, look, hey, it happened. I hate that, and I'm sorry.
And that's what I'm saying.
But it doesn't sound like.
No, I really am. I really am. I really am. I hate that it happened.
Have you said that to her?
Yeah, she knows that.
How would I know that?
I mean, Teri, we talked. I mean, I have messages you wrote. I don't want Havoc to die.
Right.
Okay?
Right after.
I mean, but Teri, you know.
I mean, you were there. You saw.
We were both there.
It was pretty horrific.
We were both there. And if you
pretty
tell
horrific.
the truth,
It was.
If you will tell the truth, I've already lost him. He's already gone. Why would you keep pushing? I mean,
It is a law. It's a law.
Only in Alabama. Okay, there's two sides to that law. Which side?
If a dog attacks and causes serious physical injury and/or death, the dog is euthanized.
Okay.
There's no.
Well, right now the court.
There's
I mean,
no
this
more
case
additional
is still
training.
ongoing in the United States Supreme Court.
It's over.
It's not.
Look, you lost your dog, and that's painful.
It's awful, and I lost my mom 2 days later.
And I'm sorry for I'm sorry for your loss with your mom. Of course, I am, and I'm sorry that you lost your dog.
Yeah, me too. I fought hard. But I never denied it.
Well, it kind of sounds like when you trivialize it that you deny it, and you could take a different approach to this and maybe work together on it, but that wasn't your approach to it. But you have to be responsible for what's happening. There are these people that don't take responsibility for their dogs, and there's only so much you can do. And if you train a dog and you do everything you can, then I don't think there's a bad breed of dog. I think you have to just do what you have to do. And
he was the judge had told my brother had to carry the dog to the animal hospital that I had to pay for. And he had told my brother that, look, I'm going to give her 10 hours training with a dog. And before the judge could get the thing out, the dog come up missing, stolen. Okay. I've already beat that. I did not. How could I really? I'm not even able to walk. But I had a $500 reward, and I did find Havoc at the end, and he was turned over to the police at my mom's.
This became very emotional. You got death threats. You got hate mail for saying, filing a complaint about the dog. And
I've not asked nobody to do anything like that.
I'm not saying you did, but I think people heard the story, and
I can tell you this: every time that somebody writes about my dog on Facebook, she'll right then ask them to be her friend and write them a message and send them all these pictures. She does that to everybody. Everybody.
Send them facts.
Everybody.
Facts from the trial.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do that. I don't try to discredit her. I don't try to ruin her character. She's dragged me through the mud, but I wouldn't do her this way.
Well,
I am responsible for the dog.
Well, I hope you recognize that owners are responsible for their dogs, and I don't think it's credible to say there wasn't any blood and this wasn't serious. I mean, this was very serious. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it wasn't it turned out to be worse than I thought. But at the beginning, like when I picked up the piece, I know I did that. I was freaked out too. He had never done anything like that. I mean, I was scared.
Some dogs that aren't properly trained and controlled by their owners can get way out of hand. And y'all listen to what we do the rest of this show, and maybe you'll think things turned out the way they should, because it could get worse. We're going to meet a woman who survived after being bitten hundreds of times by 2 dogs. She was hired to dog sit 3 dogs. And her miraculous story of survival is, it's really humbling, actually, the courage of this young woman. We'll be right back.
I was set to dog sit for 3 dogs. I opened the front door and 2 of the 3 dogs immediately attacked me.
This is a story about what happened to 22-year-old Jacqueline Duran, a college student and an experienced dog sitter in North Texas. She was mauled by 2 dogs. It happened on a dog-sitting trip gone horrifically wrong.
I see her feet right there.
First responder body camera video shows the 2 dogs who attacked her, holding the police at bay, leaving Jacqueline agonizing for help.
We can't make entry because of the dogs.
The dogs, in the instant after she opened the door, were not like the lovely dogs Jacqueline said she had met once before.
Sam, can you hear me? Are you the only one inside?
The dogs dragged you from the front door to the living room.
Yes.
From the time police arrived, 37 minutes passed before first responders felt safe going in.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Go, 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 go.
A medic rescued Jacqueline and ran out with her.
I thought I was gonna die.
Well, just over 1 year ago, Jacqueline was hired to dog sit for a family with 3 dogs. Now, she says when she arrived at the home, she was attacked by 2 of the dogs who dragged her inside the home and nearly killed her. Since then, she's had 18 reconstructive and life-saving surgeries and still has many more to go. I do want to warn you, some of these images are graphic.
I was set to dog sit for 3 dogs. I opened the front door and 2 of the 3 dogs immediately attacked me and targeted my face, and I had hundreds of bites all over my body. I was in a coma for 8 days. I'm set to have my 18th surgery.
We're on our way to my next appointment with my surgeon.
I will need more eyelid surgeries, more lid surgeries. I will need to get cranial implants for prosthetic ears, more nose surgeries, and my face can function better. Surgeries are less and less often, but I still have many more to go. It's not easy to deal with this lifestyle right now. Yeah, it's not easy.
Well, Jacqueline, I'm so glad to meet you and so glad you're here.
It's so nice to meet you.
And I mean, I'm so glad you're here at 2 different levels. I'm glad you're here to talk about this, and I'm glad you're anywhere at this, because what you've been through is really hard to wrap your head around. How many times were you bitten?
I don't have recollection of how many times, but I had over 800 bites on my body.
800 bites?
Yes.
And how long did this go on?
I don't have any recollection of time.
And do they have any estimation from the time you got there until you were discovered? And how were you discovered?
I was discovered because the door was left open.
A neighbor saw the door open, right?
The alarm system notified the owners.
Okay.
And they asked the neighbor to check on the house.
Okay.
And when she went over there, she got bit twice by one of the dogs and rushed back over to her house and told her husband to call 911.
Okay.
And that's how they came to the house.
Did they know that you were in there?
I believe the owner told the neighbor that they had a dog sitter and they weren't sure if I was there. They pushed the door open with their heads and I was immediately brought down to the ground.
Did you believe they were going to kill you? I've been following this since it's happened because we actually have a home in Dallas. And so I've been following it since it happened. And am I right that the understanding was when you made the arrangement to sit for these dogs that they would be, your understanding was that they would be crated when you arrived?
Yes, I do believe.
So when you got there, you knew they would be crated so they wouldn't be territorially protecting the house, and you would come in and let them out of the crates.
Yes, correct.
But that was not the case when you arrived on this day, obviously.
No.
Okay, and you opened the door a little bit, and they actually pushed the door open and dragged you into the house?
Yeah, they pushed the door open with their heads, and I was immediately brought down to the ground.
Right. And you were hired by a family to go to the home 3 times a day for a week to feed them and let them out while the owners were out of town?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And you're a dog lover, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
you do this on purpose. This is something that you've always loved
Yes.
to do. And when you met the owners, and there were 3 dogs. You were going to let them out one by one from the crates, and they were all 3 friendly dogs, right?
Correct.
When you
They were
first met
friendly.
them? Okay. At the time this happened, what was going through your mind? Did you believe they were going to kill you?
I didn't think I had a chance to survive at all.
You thought this is it?
This is it.
Yeah. And had the owners given you any warning at all that you could be in danger that these dogs could attack in this way?
No, there is no alert that I would have been in danger.
Okay. And when you look back on it now, you had to be there for a good while, because how much blood did you lose through this attack? What have they told you?
I lost 30% of my blood.
Wow. That's hard to even conceive. And they targeted your face and your arms, right?
And my legs.
And your legs? Uh-huh. And was there anything that you could do? Was there any strategy you had at the time to try to fend them off or protect yourself? Was there anything you could or were trying to do?
I do remember screaming as loud as I could, and I don't believe I was louder than the dogs. And I also remember laying on the ground, and when they were attacking me in certain areas, I was trying to turn over and protect myself, because I was trying to have as little damage as possible.
Yeah. Well, next, Jacqueline says that she believes the dogs that attacked her didn't just become aggressive overnight. Her message to all dog owners when we come back. We're out of time for today, but there is so much more we can learn from this inspiring young woman. Tomorrow, Jacqueline's journey to recovery and how she almost didn't make it. Her father describes the night she was taken to the hospital clinging to life.
Tomorrow on Dr. Phil.
She was barely alive. She had lost both ears, her nose, her cheeks, her upper lip, and her lower chin had been pulled away and was hanging.
He actually sprung off the ground, taking my head, going back and forth.
Jerking you around. He finally released.
Something fell on the ground, and it was my lips with my nose.
You could just see straight up through my nose and then just all my teeth.
That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. Plus, meet a young woman who was attacked by her family member's pit bull and says when she saw her face in the mirror, it looked like a skeleton. You don't want to miss that, and hear what Josh's advice is about what to do when attacked by a dog. I want to thank all of my guests, and a special thanks to Josh Leverett and Callie Canine. For more information about today's episode, log on to Dr. Don't forget to scan the flow code on the screen for exclusive behind-the-scenes content. You can follow me on my social media platforms. Plus, it will link you to my podcast, Fill in the Blanks, as well as Robin's podcast, I've Got a Secret with Robin McGraw. She doesn't keep any secrets. Thanks for being here today. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.